It just takes. Good evening. Welcome to Success in the City. My name's Helen Webster. I'm with the lovely
Sandra Scott, and our fabulous inspirational guest today is...
I'm Grace of Alta Sound.
Thank you so much, Grace, for giving your time today. And we are super excited to find out all about Grace and all about ultrasound. We've just been having a little chat, and there's loads and loads that we're going to be talking about. But first, we do shout out to the kids, any little people who've done amazing things this week. So I'm going to start, and on Thursday, Friday of last week, we went to the Lord Derby Academy. And it was the transition week for year 7. So they're going to be starting school next week into senior school. And they've been for a whole week, and they've done some science and some maths and some lessons on the Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. And then Thursday, Friday, we had 2 days of sports and activity, which was amazing. Yeah. And the weather was beautiful, and we did it all outside. And the facilities are it's a great, great school.
It is.
And it was just lovely. And so they're making friends and seeing what the building's like. So when they go to school next week, those sort of like little barriers of like anxiety and things hopefully are broken down a little bit. So massive shout out to them. They were all super, weren't they? They were all like really well behaved and they're excited.
Good, and I'm going to give a shout out to my GCSE students. So I'm made up. We had a 100% pass rate again this year.
Brilliant, well done.
We tutored for A level and GCSE in both languages that we do for those courses, and English. So we were thrilled to bits. So brilliant. Delighted. And sometimes I have to chase the kids to find out how they got on. And Daisy texted me like at 8 in the morning. So I was over the moon with her. So just great results. So just shout out to all our kids, because these have had the worst time at school you could have imagined with the lockdown. So just delighted with our results again this year. So that was
brilliant. That. Well done. Well done. What about you, Grace? Any little people that you want to shout out to?
Maybe not little, but I'd probably echo what Sandra was saying about all the kids who've just had the results and whether they're unhappy or not. I remember like how stressful it was just waiting for those results, and it feels like those results determine the rest of your life. And I know those kids have worked so hard, especially like you saying, Sandra, with like all the chaos of lockdown, and the pressure must feel insane. So to all of them that managed to get through those exams, like props to them, because that is not easy.
Yeah, definitely. So we've got a LinkedIn user. It hasn't come up with a name on mine, so hello to you. They're saying hello to everyone, so that's cool. I also want to give a little shout out to Artem. So Artem from Ukraine came over. Sandra's been teaching him English. He's going to his new school in September, and he came to be a little helper, didn't he, on Thursday and Friday. Very sporty, absolutely amazing he was. And to not be fluent in the language and to come and to teach children who were he just had a lovely way about him, and he was just brilliant. So massive shout out to Artem. It's a really cool thing what you did, and he was super helpful. So he was a real asset to our gang, wasn't he?
Definitely. And he was very happy. His mum said to me today, because I teach them at the Big Help Project, and his mum said today, she said he was so happy. She said he's contento means happy, and she speaks to me in Italian because I don't speak Ukrainian and she speaks Italian. And she said contentissimo, which means just really, 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 really happy, which is a great description for a teenager who's, had to flee a war zone. So we were just delighted about that, and he had a great time with Oscar and everything. So
so it was brilliant. So massive shout out to Artem as well. So success this week personally for you, something cool that's happened to you. Do you want to go first, Sam?
Yeah, go on then. So finally, coat number 4 of my mum's fence got done. Ronan came to help me, and the whole fence is done now, thank God. I just can't believe how many coats it's taken of this stuff to go from, but if you go from brown to a sage green, I suppose. So all our fence is done, so I'm delighted. And I painted all my back wall as well with the white and with my plants. So I'm very excited about all of that. So I've just got loads of jobs done over 3 days, which made me feel much better. It's Carl Starkey at the Thin Blue Line watching on LinkedIn.
Oh, hello to Carl. So I've had a lovely coffee with Carl today, and Carl is going to come on our show.
Oh, well, he's got an interesting story, hasn't he? So
he really has. So yeah. What's happened to you this week, Grace? That's been amazing.
I had my tooth out, which sounds like a bad thing, but I'm really relieved. It was awful, and I've got it yanked out, and I feel loads better now.
Brilliant. If you've got toothache and you get it out, it's right, 100%.
Right out. So that was
brilliant.
I mean, it was slightly traumatic, but it's out now, and it's in the past.
Oh.
Did the tooth fairy visit?
You know what? The tooth fairy did not visit, and that's a very good point. I'm going to have to make an official complaint.
I think we need to have serious words with the grown-ups. Maybe we need to leave a little letter. Yeah. You get if you're over 18, you get one of those purple notes, don't you?
Oh, really? It was my wisdom tooth, so I think I deserve it.
Oh, I had at least 5 of those purple notes. Yeah. And so my success this week was going camping at the weekend.
Brilliant.
So we went camping Friday, came home Sunday. It was amazing. We just had a great time. And we only went to just outside of Chester to where the Cheshire ice cream farm is. Literally 2 mile walk from there. So we walked to the ice cream farm, which was very good. But yeah, it was cool. It was just like lovely to be away, and felt like I'd been away for ages. We had a fire pit and a barbecue, and to go to sleep under the stars and wake up, and be able to sit outside and have a cup of tea and first thing in the morning is just amazing. So that's my massive success.
Without a bear breaking in your tent and attacking.
Yeah, there was no bears. Not there. No, and Poppy Dog was there to save us. So,
brilliant.
Yeah, so it was really cool. Yeah. So Grace is our guest today, and we are super excited, as we said before. But first, we're going to play this or that before we find out about all the cool stuff she's done. Sam, do you want to go first, or do you want me to go first?
Go first.
Okay. I've done a little bit themey here with mine. Okay.
You're going to rob man.
Sun salutations in the morning or in the evening. So for those who don't know what a sun salutation is, it's a yoga move. Okay, it's like a little, few little moves that's sort of in a flow and in a sequence. Yeah, just like that, son.
Just like that.
So Grace,
I know I'm defo morning, got to be morning, and also maybe evening, but preference morning.
Morning for me with that one.
So I've only done sun salutations of an evening. I've never done them first thing of a morning. So I used to go to yoga class late at night, and I used to do them of an evening, and it was amazing. And I've started to do yoga before I go to bed.
Yeah.
And I love it. It just makes me sleep. It makes me all like flowy and stuff like that. So yeah, a little bit of shoulder wiggle there. So I think yoga of an evening for me. But although I do love first thing of a morning doing exercise, but yogi of a night. Yeah. What about you, Sam?
Well, for the morning for that, for my this or that. Okay, so I've also met Grace before, etc. So I'm going to pick something now, and I'm going to pick ceramics or fabric.
I'm ceramics.
Ceramics for me as well.
Okay, ceramics and to admire, fabric to work with. For me,
very good. I like that answer. Good answer, Sam. Okay. Grace, singing bowl or gong? The noise of a singing bowl or a gong?
They're very different. At the moment, I feel more personally connected to bowls. It's like totally different, but I'd say at this moment in time, I'd say a bowl.
Yeah. Sam?
A gong, because I've always wanted a big, massive gong to go bong like that.
Like the fella from the movies.
Exactly. And you know, sometimes when you're abroad in restaurants, they got these massive gongs. And I always get the urge to walk past and go like that. So if I could do that legitimately, I'd be ecstatic. So gong.
Yeah, I'm gonna go a singing bowl. So I've only ever used one once. So Chrissy Kinsey, you know, our PT, she's got one. And she brought it. Yeah, she brought it to show me, and she showed me how you did, and she said only certain people can do it, and it worked when I did it.
Only certain people can do it.
Yeah, you have to be like in the zone and all that sort of stuff. So it was very cool.
Sandra.
Sandra doesn't believe me there.
I'm human now.
There's a technique, and you have to do it with it. Yeah. Okay, San.
Okay. Watercolors or oils, Grace?
I'd say watercolors. And like, it's got to be like easy and flowing, and I'm all about the watercolors.
Watercolors for me.
Okay, oils for me because they're less messy and don't drip on the floor. Watercolors because I'm just hopeless at art, Grace. I am not artistic at all.
There's no such thing. There is no such thing.
No, I've seen some of them sculptures out there where they put a brick in the middle. You know what I mean?
Diane.
So Diane Hughes. Oh yeah, I was going to say Diane Hughes is listening in. She says watercolors for hair.
Oh, lovely.
Interesting. Okay. My last one, walking barefoot on the sand or on the grass. Sandra.
Hands down, 100% without a moment's thought. Okay, your chances of standing on slugs, cowbats, etc. are highly reduced on the sand than they are in grass. Nobody knows what's under that grass. No, sand, hands down.
What about you, Grace?
I like your stipulation, Sandra, about all the slugs and that. If there was guaranteed no like poo that I'm going to stand in, I'd love the grass. But I like the benefit of if there's sand, there's most likely also probably water, and you can walk in that. So,
and also, it's like dermabrasion on your feet when you walk a long way. Your feet are amazing. Yeah.
So Tom says, what about acrylics? And Diane says sand. I think she said sand then, didn't she? Yeah, she says end up in dog poo round here. Yeah.
Oh, lovely.
So apart from, so I'm 100% grass on you, cold like at the earth under your feet. So yeah, amazing. Well better than sand. Although I do like sand. But I'm a bit like Grace. If there's sand, there might be water, so you can have a little paddle in the water and stuff. Would be cool.
Okay.
So because we've gone live, the cat has now appeared. My cat hates humans until we go live on the show.
I thought
so
I heard a little mule.
Yeah, he'll just do it all the way through because we're live, and then as soon as we finish, he'll get off.
Well,
yeah. Okay, San, your last one.
Okay, so my last one, Grace, is film or music.
Ooh. That one's hard. I'd say, that one is difficult. I'd say music.
What about you, Helen? I'm sorry.
No, I was just going to say, I think with really good films, you get really good sound as well. But I like the storytelling elements of both. But music is a bit more accessible, like in daily life.
I'm a bit like, and Diane says film. For me, if I could only have one thing, and it was television or music, I'd 100% have music. What about you, San?
I'd have music if it had to be one or the other, definitely, by far. And in our office this morning, we had we had George Michael on and stuff, and then we had the Beach Boys on. It was brilliant.
We have vinyl only. We have vinyl only, don't we? So we have records.
Yeah.
And we had the Beach Boys, which was ace. I just love the Beach Boys.
I had 3 hours cancellations this morning, back to back, despite me telling everyone, reminding everyone it had been the bank holiday was tomorrow. Okay, it's last night. So, but it was great because I got loads of work done and we had listened to music, so that was cool as well.
Yeah, brilliant. Yeah. So that's all our this and that. I'm going to pass you over to Sandra. Sandra's going to introduce Grace, and then we're going to hand it over to Grace.
No problem at all. So I've known Grace met Grace some time ago, actually, because we're both good friends with her uncle, and who as a cheap paid for you to have some Spanish lessons, didn't he? Because you were going to work, going to do some voluntary work in the Galapagos Island. But Grace is just an artist on another level. So she went to Central St Martin's College, which I'm intrigued to hear more about as well. And then, as I say, went out and did a project in the Galapagos Islands, which she'll speak about. And now you've set up your own company, haven't you? And you're doing sound therapy. You're a professional sound therapist, which you've trained for. So we'd love to hear all about your journey, Grace, going through college, Galapagos, and how we've come to do sound therapy, and what sound therapy is, what the benefits are, and how people can access it. So over to you.
Okay, where do I start? I think when you were just talking about film and music, when I've been reflecting recently about what brought me to where I am at this moment, is I've always really been interested in people and storytelling, and even things like ritual, and just really making moments of connection, whether it's me connecting with another person or a person connecting with themselves, or just facilitating that moment of connection or introspection. And I think that I remember when I first applied to art college, that's what the person who was looking through my portfolio said. That's what they remarked upon. And one of the things that they always said when I was preparing for my interview, because at that point, anyone who's putting together the portfolio now knows it's quite an intense and rigorous thing for you to prepare. It's just like any job interview, but you have to go through months of compiling this portfolio and designing it around the school that you want to go to. And when I got there, they said that what they were looking for was your potential, and the sort of that essence of you want to experiment and you want to explore. They didn't really want anyone who had come to the conclusion this was the art they were going to make, this was the medium, this was it. They didn't want a complete thing. They wanted somebody who was ready to grow and explore. And I think I loved art school, but one of the thing that they taught us more than any skills, they didn't really teach us any practical, there was no drawing class, there was no sculpture class.
Really?
There was none of that. They just taught you how to be the artist that you need to be. So their approach was really more focused on showing you how you can interrogate your own artistic practice, how you can explore and really learn how to rigorously research the thing that you're interested in. Because when you've got 30 artists in a room, nobody wants to make the same project or use the same material. I had friends who were making sculptures out of beans, and somebody who was doing a performance pretending to be a dog eating a kebab. You can't teach everyone the same thing. And to be now we're all copying this masterpiece by Monet. It just doesn't work like that. And I think that's maybe why Central St Martin's is renowned in the way that it is now. I think there are I would have liked a few more, this is how you use this saw lessons, but that they were probably accessible. I just didn't search for them. I was off doing something else. I was in the library, or I was fiddling with dirt or something. I don't know. I think people perceive, maybe the idea is that art school is like the old studios with the masters where everyone's sitting around and practicing the same skills over and over. But what really happens is that people do that for themselves in the studio. You figure out that you want to use this medium and you mostly teach yourself, which is difficult when you're in it, but it's such a useful skill, knowing that you are responsible for finding that person who knows how to use this material and figuring out how to go to the British Library and find this really weird manuscript or whatever it is. It just teaches you like independence, really.
Yeah, I think and I think that's very much the case. Like if people go to sort of a college sort of to study like a foundation year or something before they go on, they're taught to work with different mediums and things like that. Or if you do A level, you know, at school, that type of thing. But I think like when you've gone to somewhere that's definitely renowned as the best college in the country, undoubtedly, it's very, very, very difficult to get in. You know, it's like someone going to Cambridge or Oxford for a specific subject. It's like without doubt, it's regarded as the best in the country. That's the idea. They help you to help yourselves and look at the theory and that, because the talent's already there, or you wouldn't be there. You've got that with your portfolio. It's teaching you to self-analyze and think on another level, as you said. And I think when I came out of uni doing my language course, I remember thinking, they've taught me to teach myself. If I need to know another language the same standard as the ones I've already got, I know the process I've got to go through to do that. But at the time you're going through it, you're just like, it's traumatic almost. Through and getting to the standard they want you to do. But that's the difference. And if you educate someone properly, you educate them to be able to help themselves to that same level in a different area in the future and go on. You don't just teach them to know what you've taught them. And you fail someone if you do that, you know. So hence you going off now and exploring further. And it's funny you say that. We've got a lovely guy who's a self-taught artist, isn't he? Who came on and we went to his exhibition recently.
John Charles, yeah,
John Charles, and he's going down a different pathway in his art now, and he experimented with different things than he normally does, you know. And he was talking about that part of his journey, and we're watching his journey as an artist develop and everything. And that's sort of what you've done now, and you've chosen to do, you know, follow a different path now.
So what was your biggest takeaway then, Grace, from your time
in uni?
Yeah, it's St. Martin's. Yeah.
What was my biggest takeaway? I think there were certain things that I wanted to do that I didn't do because for whatever reason, because it was quite an intense environment. But I think there's things that I'm doing now that I would have done then because now I'm ready for it. So I think that, I guess what I'm saying, the takeaway is if you're interested in something and you feel drawn to it and your gut instinct is telling you to do that, it's never wrong. So like I've cycled back to these things now because I feel like I'm in the right place to explore them. But the interest has always been there. It's just like almost like if your gut instinct is telling you, you should like you have to listen because it's never wrong. Even in, you know, like when they say if you don't walk down that street if you feel like it's not there, you're always right.
Yeah, it is. It's your intuition, isn't it? And something inside telling you there's a reason why. And I think, you know, you're saying it's your passion, and you know, you do revisit stuff. You know, you might have an idea and stuff, and you think that's a pretty cool thing, and it might not be at the time, and then you come back to it, and you know, you will revisit it if it's right for you. If it's not right for you, you know, something else comes along, doesn't it?
That's right. And so then after college and everything, and when I did a little bit of Spanish with you, because you went off to do a project, didn't you, in the Galapagos Islands?
Yeah, so that was like a bit after uni. After uni, I'd like, because I still didn't know what I wanted to do. I think everyone's still figuring out what they want to do in some capacity. There was a period of time I took a year out in there was an optional year out in the middle of uni that you could do and pursue something that was going to contribute to your learning and would be like marked for your degree. So at the time that I was applying for that, I was really interested in things like BSL and the way that people communicate with things other than language, like physical speech.
Yeah.
So I trained to be a puppeteer in London. On this, there's like only one of them in the country, but maybe for a reason, because I'm not sure, like, but it is amazing. It's this really weird rickety old boat on the Thames, and it's like a live puppet shows we do on there. So I trained with them, and that was amazing. So then I did that a little bit after uni.
Grace, is that the one that was in Liverpool though? What's it called? Jump ship. What's it called? That ship?
It's never travelled anywhere other than the Thames Canal. I don't know if it'd make it.
Liverpool, that was done on a boat, and you got on, and it all went like that, and it was just amazing.
That was Royal Deluxe. They're like a big scale art in sort of performance art. They call it what's the word? Like promenade, like art in promenade. Where because they walked through the streets of Liverpool, they had like loads of different kids and school groups and community groups contributing to that work, and then it culminated in the docks. A big one of the large puppets went on a boat, and then it like sailed off. But maybe
that was the Giants, wasn't it? When the Giants came, and then the uncle went off.
I mean, we're going back 20 years. I'm sure it was in Liverpool before it went to London. And it was this boat, and you went on the boat and saw the performance, and everything folded up, and they were puppeteers. It was amazing. But never mind. Okay, so you did the puppetry.
So I did that for a while, and so I started doing workshops and things like that, working with people to do creative things, like all manner of things. Because in uni, I was just talking about how it all works. In that, because everyone wants to do different things, the way that they make it a bit easier to handle is that they divide you into medium specific groups. So because some people do just want to paint, so there'll be like one group that's painters, one so it was like 2D paint drawing, 3D maybe sculpture, 4D which was like time-based media, so performance art or film, and then XD, which I always felt like was the one where they were like, we don't know what to do with you, so we'll put you in that. And that was the one that I was in. But what it really meant was that you were interested in public facing art. So art with community groups, art with people, art that doesn't feel exclusive, and it doesn't have to be in a gallery space. It's like welcoming, and you want people to be engaging with it. So I think that's one of the reasons that I've cycled back round to this. And that's one of the reasons that I wanted to go to Ecuador. And I was exploring that because I didn't feel like I wanted to be in London anymore, because it was too hard to be doing loads of these short jobs that didn't pay a lot. So I moved back to Liverpool, and I was exploring places that I could go to learn different artistic practices. And particularly I wanted to learn about to go to communities where art and ritual is integrated into their life or their culture. So I found this organization that would basically place you in different communities, and the one I ended up being placed in Ecuador, it wasn't in the Galapagos in the end. It was in this province called Tena, which is there's so many provinces. But I just basically stayed in that community for about 5 months.
Wow.
And originally I wanted to go and learn about their jewelry making practices and how they whittle things and how they make clothes. But obviously what I want is not what the community wants. So I quickly was like, okay, so I need to figure out how I learn and what the outcome of my learning is beneficial to the community. Because I'd been thinking about it too abstractly, it's not about me going to learn. I've got to contribute to the community, because that's the way it works. And Sandra was so helpful with the Spanish, because if I hadn't have recapped that Spanish, I would have literally, that was an embarrassing moment for me, because when I got there, I was just holding on to the Spanish that I'd learned and refreshed, but it's still certainly not fluent. And then they started speaking in their indigenous language. So I was like, whoa, I have no idea what's happening now. And then the only other English speaker I knew drove off, and I didn't hear even Spanish for 3 weeks.
Wow.
Did they speak?
Were you by yourself? Were you or was there any?
Completely by myself.
Wow,
and they speak. Cool. You're right, Sandra. They speak the community I lived with spoke Quechua.
Quechua,
but they kind of had one foot in the Quechua community, but then still were slightly integrated into like the surrounding areas, and because they kind of had to be to make any money and survive. So they would do this really weird like combination of Quechua and Spanish, but like Ecuadorian Spanish. And I ended up understanding it pretty well, to the point where another Quechua person would speak and a fluent Spanish person wouldn't have a clue what they'd said. But the weird Quechua Spanish that they'd made up, I would kind of have an understanding. But the languages are not even remotely similar in my eyes, but I'm not a linguist.
No, they're not. They're not, because Quechua is indigenous from, you could do it at Liverpool Uni, actually. Quechua is indigenous from South America. So it would have grown separately. And of course, when the Spanish came on, when the conquistadores went over there, so they wouldn't be related at all. But how cool. I bet you picked it up super fast.
I did, to be fair. And I think just living with them was really amazing. And like, it was like a really humbling experience, because I had to teach myself every now and then. I was like, what did they call me? They called me like a Rangsia Walichanga, which basically is like a skinny white grasshopper. Like I think that's what they were trying to say.
Better than a fat one.
Yeah. But this sounds like a bizarre comparison to make, but I felt like they had quite a Scouse sense of humor, because there were a few, like every now and then, you know, the way like Scouse people are really like quite self-deprecating and just like light. There would be some every now and then we'd get a coach of tourists like pull up into the community, and the first time I heard them speak in English, it was like a relief to me to hear it, because I hadn't heard someone speak English or seen like anyone who looked remotely like me for ages. But then I made the conscious effort to not like be excited by that, and not to give myself over to them, just to like hang back and just do my thing with the community members. Where was I going with that? I forgot where I was. So then like the tourists, like the American tourists would come in, and then I'd see someone in the community make a joke to them and they wouldn't get it like at all. Like it just was not clicking. But that was always interesting as well, to see the dynamic change or shift when like tourists came, because even like the kids acted a little bit different. And there was one time that I was like just chilling in the background. I think they had like a ceremony, like a ritual space. And when the tourists came, they'd prepare food in the ritual space. They'd wear like their traditional clothing. They'd like get out all of their like wares, like the jewelry and stuff, and they'd do their dancing and singing, which was amazing. And I was sat in the fire pit like with them, and I must have looked filthy, and my hair must have been wild. And I was wearing like a pair of dungarees, and then I heard this like American person go like, "What's that white girl doing over there? Like kidnapped me or something?" And I was like, "No, I'm okay."
So then you came back from Ecuador, and so what led you to become a professional sound therapist then? What inspired you into that?
I've been like the training process. I've finished I qualified like I think I handed all my stuff in about a month ago now. And it's been about a year and a half, 2 years, the training process. And I think so it was kind of happening, like I'd read about it ages ago, like a really long time ago. And like I was saying, I returned back to it when COVID was happening, because I got into doing it myself, like listening to other people's as a way to like manage stress. And so then I went back into exploring it again. And I've always really been interested in like sound and storytelling, and especially like it's kind of like a scientifically proven version of like magic to me, because like it does affect people. Like I've seen it and it's happened, that it does work. And so I sort of delved into and it was a lot of it was online, which was really nice, because obviously during COVID no one could like meet or do anything. So I like trained with the British Academy of Sound Therapy, which we were talking about earlier. And they are like one of the only like officially recognized bodies in the UK that do it. And they're pretty well known, and people from everywhere come and train with them or do online studies. And they've got their own specific method that they teach you in, which is called the BAST method. And they've been training that specific method since about 1994, I think it is. And one part of the qualifying is you have to do it, obviously, a number of sessions. But you have to contribute to a scientific study as well with the findings you get from feedback in 2 different sessions. So they're actively doing constantly doing scientific studies into the benefits for all sorts of people. So the study that I contributed to was for people with chronic pain and the potential benefits for people with chronic pain. So I worked with a number of people who have fibromyalgia, and we submitted all the surveys and questionnaires and feedback. So we should get some learnings from that, but they're really well known. And I think because it's like maybe more science focused than other modalities or other trainings, different people are more drawn to it because you can do all manner of courses. And I think the perception is they're a bit like woo-woo hocus pocus. But the course, which is like, I love all that, but not everyone loves that. But the nice thing about BAST is that it's a combination of holistic sound therapy and neuroscience. So you kind of get an understanding of both and why the sound is working and what sounds to make to create a certain brainwave frequency or whatever.
Yeah, of course. So it's like radio waves, isn't it? And people with sound waves. The impact of that, etc. And so are some people a lot more responsive to sound than others, though?
They are, but in the training, we learn what happens when someone has a negative response and why that might be and how you lead them through it. So they have like a framework called like the 5 R's. And one of the 5 R's that sometimes people may experience is complete resistance to the sound. Or maybe they decide they've got resistance to me as a facilitator, or to the space that they're in, or to the blanket that they lay on that day. So you sort of learn how to manage people through that in a group setting, in a way that they're not going too much into into their own experience in a stressful way or impacting the group as a whole. Like you have to make sure it's balanced within the group when people are sharing, and people don't overshare and it's distressing for them.
So I know somebody who's done the sound bath, so she had chronic pain, and she went and she was just blown away by it, and she come back and she was like, hell, it's amazing, and they do this and and the other. So Diane Hughes is saying you're a very brave girl for what you did, and then she's saying she has brain damage and she can't cope with loud noise. And but I know that the lady I was talking about, for her and her pain threshold, for her pain management, it was amazing, and she felt so much better. I'm curious, before you were talking about BSL, and so I work with the deaf community, and a lot of them, they can't hear, but they feel the vibrations of particular music, and they can feel the vibrations.
Yeah.
Has a gong or sound therapy or anything like that ever been done with the deaf community that you know
I don't
of?
know. I was thinking about that the other day. I think it's such an exciting idea. And I think I was thinking about how I want to propose this as a study to the British Academy of Sound Therapy, because I think why would you not include that group of society, especially when they're like uber sensitive to like vibrations? I think that's really exciting, and I feel like it would work. But like Diane was saying, is it Diane that mentioned?
Diane's listening, yeah.
So the right sound therapist should be able to tailor the sound experience for the people that they're dealing with. So say, for example, somebody like Diane who can't bear loud noise, they should not be advised to be in a gong bath. It's going to be too stimulating. It's going to be painful for them. And so what when I'm doing my sessions, I make sure everyone prior to the session starting fills in a form, so I know if they're on any medication, if they have mental health issues that are particularly like prominent at the moment, things that like if they've got metal plates in the body. So if they've got metal plates and they're going to be right next to a big vibrating thing, like that's not going to be great for them. And so there will be sound therapists that can tailor things to people who maybe think that so people think, oh, I can't do it.
Mm-hmm.
There will be a type of sound therapy for someone like Dan. Maybe it's someone who sings, maybe it's the voice, or maybe it's bowls balanced on your body. I think there is always a type. Like I knew someone who didn't want to come to my sound bath because she had a gong bath and she hated it. It was too intense. It was too overwhelming. And I don't work with gongs at the moment, mostly because I can't fit them in my car. But yeah, there is always something for somebody. You just have to make sure you go to the right one for you. But that is about knowing as well.
So Grace, you're from Manchester originally, aren't you? But your family are from Liverpool, so you're on Merseyside. So you've come to, and you're living on Wirral now, aren't you? So you started this on Wirral though, didn't you? Your first course, is that right? So who would access it? Who is it? Is it for anyone to have a go at, or
at sound therapy?
Yeah.
Anybody. So I'm trained to do it in a group setting, and that group can consist of any type of person, as long as, like as I was just mentioning the contraindications, things like if they're under 3 months pregnant. But that's like with most holistic therapies, they don't recommend a massage and things like that. Anyone can come as long as they're safe to have it. And I've had also like every walk of life come. I would like more people to come in, maybe people who feel nervous to lie on the floor, maybe they can sit. And I think I want to make it more accessible, so people, even if they can't even leave the home, or they've run back from work and they haven't managed to come to the yoga studio or wherever it is, you can do it from home with a good pair of headphones or earphones. So it is for everyone. And I do different types of sessions. So some that will be more stimulating, or I would say more reflective. So I do reflection-based sessions or reflection-focused sessions, and other ones that are purely about relaxation. So it's you come in and you just have I lead you through the sound. The reflection ones, I take you through some sort of mindfulness and focus exercises prior to it, because then that sort of frames the session. So you're taking whatever you need to into the session in your mind, so you can almost focus on that. So I really think it's for everyone. I think people do think it's a bit like hocus pocus.
We love a bit of hocus pocus though, don't we, Sam?
We sign up.
So how long is a session?
Typically a session lasts about an hour. Let me just flick my light on.
Sure,
I know. Oh, it's so sad, isn't it, that we've
end of August now.
End of August, and we're now having to put our lights on halfway through. So it's typically about an hour. Is it a course, or is it one-offs, or is it you just go
Well, at the moment, it's just I'll tell people what the session is that time, what that particular session is for. They can come to that one. They can come to every single one. I tend to I do them in a few different places, but I tend to cycle them. So I'm not doing, if someone wanted to come to one every week, I'm not doing the same one every week. Mm-hmm. So I do, as I said, the relaxation focused sound baths, the reflection focused ones, and then drum journeys as well. And I do find that different people are drawn to different instruments. So some people really, really like the crystal bowls, like they love that. And some people really connect to the drum and to percussion. And I think one thing I've been surprised by in this process is that a lot of people feel like a deep connection to the drum. And it is because there's it's like the rhythm of our bodies and our heartbeats. And I think it's like a literal scientific thing called rhythmic entrainment. And so the way that I play the drum is supposed to mimic your heartbeat. So you tap into it, and then you sort of deeply connected with it that entire time then. And then it just allows your brain to go into like an altered state of consciousness, which is the specific one would be alpha. And in that state is when you're able to deeply relax and either focus and process things or just like let things go.
We need to come to this.
So I'm like this now. We need a timetable.
When it is, where it is, how we get there, how much it is, and does it go for a number of weeks? If you do you do like a full course or something?
Not at the moment. I'm just sort of testing the waters to see what people are more like drawn to. This week I confirmed that I'm going to be doing a retreat, a part of a retreat day with my social sister. And so they're doing a retreat day on the 18th. And I'll be doing 2 sessions in that one day with the same group. And so I'll be able to tailor it. So it's like the first session has one aim and the second one has another, and they work together.
Sunday.
That's on the 18th.
Where is it?
It's in, Brimstage Hall.
Yes, I do.
In one of the barns and some of the breakout rooms there.
Lovely. So are they always done indoors, or can you do sound therapy outdoors?
You can do sound therapy outdoors. And the only real limitation is on making sure that the sound quality is the same for everyone and everyone's getting the same experience. And so I am investing in some like a proper PA and mic. And once you've got that all sorted, you can do it in the woods. You can do it. You could probably do it on the beach. You would just have to make sure you got like the equipment right.
Yeah.
Yes.
So Bernie's listening in and she says, "Amazing, Grace." There you go.
Oh, it's Bernie.
Bernie's amazing. She does loads for food banks and helps pensioners and does all kinds. So
butties.
And makes amazing food and the best food. The best
egg. Best in the business.
Amazing food. Okay, so how do people find out about you? Because I'm just going to put into our little comments now. So you have a Facebook page,
which is Alta Sound, the one that's on my little square.
Is that the easiest way to get in touch?
That or Instagram. And I'm Alta_sound on Instagram. And I'm going to be putting up
a separate Instagram.
A mailing list as well, so people can know where
people can sign up.
Yeah.
So it's Alta_sound.
Yeah.
For Insta. There you go. Okay. And then they'll be able to email you and get on or fill in some forms and stuff and get on the mailing list.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Amazing. Well, I think the time's absolutely flown.
So
what's the future then? Last little question. What's the future?
I would like to have my own space at some point, but I also want to expand into using other instruments, particularly this one. I'm going to be using my voice a lot, which is super exciting. And training in more modalities, so I can have like a really expansive offering. And maybe training to do more one-on-one therapies, so I can really go into it with someone and do like a proper treatment plan with them specifically and only them. That would probably be the next step. And then probably doing a lot of more stuff online if I can be more technical, just so it's like more inclusive.
Accessible.
Yeah, it's more accessible to people that way. Maybe people don't live in the area.
Do you work with children, or is it adults, or is it both?
Primarily with adults, but there's no reason why I couldn't work with children. And I think I was thinking about applications in school as well, especially when kids are stressing before exams and things like that, just to have that like hour of chill time for them. I think there's no reason why that wouldn't work, and I think it would be really beneficial.
How many people tend to attend? How many people would you have in a group?
It really depends on the space. Some spaces with me and all my instruments and everyone lying down, that tend to be like no more than 6, which is a really nice number, like quite an intimate group. But then I think the most I've done it for is like 16. but that's purely been limited on space. I could do it for more, especially because I'm going to be getting like a little head mic and a PA really soon.
Nice. So Mike's listening and he says she seems like a very intelligent young woman. She is a very intelligent young woman, yeah, definitely.
Is that my Uncle Mike? I bet that's my Uncle Mike.
That's your Uncle Mike. It is your Uncle Mike. Yeah. Uncle Mike listening in.
I think, and quite right too, because they must be so proud of you and everything you've achieved.
So I'd love to follow a deaf sound bath, gong bath with you. I'd really love to sort of like explore that.
Yeah,
because I think it'd be a dead cool. So one of the guy who taught me, one of my tutors, we were talking about thunder, thunder and lightning, stuff like that, and he said, "Oh, it's about to thunder," and I was like, "Really?" Anyway, he couldn't hear the thunder, but if he put his hand on the window, he could feel it.
Yeah.
And so the sound waves bounce off walls and things, don't they? So it depends where they're sat. And I listened to an amazing the High Performance podcast, and it was can't remember the lady's name, but she's deaf and she's a solo percussionist. Well worth a listen. She's incredible, and it's where she positions herself in the orchestra.
Right, yeah.
And how she sees, and she is unbelievable. And she's released music and everything. She's just, and she tells her story of how when she was in school and everything. It's absolutely brilliant. I'll find it and send it over to you. But it's amazing. It's a great one to listen to sort of get into their world, and say yes, they can do it, and they can, and they can feel the vibrations and things. Yeah. It's cool.
Grace, when's your next session starting then that you're doing, as well as that one you said on the 17th? Have you got like an evening course going or anything?
I do monthly ones at a private yoga studio in Wallasey Village. Yeah. I also do sessions at Concept Corner in New Brighton. I've done one or two at the Women's Org in town.
That's around the corner from our office.
Yeah. Ron, not commented on me vermicelli here tonight.
Evelyn Glennie, that's the lady. Yeah, that's the lady. Right. Thank you, Uncle Ron.
And then I've got the retreat day I'm doing with my social sister, and I'm also doing another retreat day in New Ferry in October. I think it's the 2nd of October, in a place called Anchor Haven. It's like a crystal-y shop, and I'm going to be one of the sort of holistic therapists that are going to be there that day. There's going to be like Reiki, all sorts going on. Yeah.
So any information, any dates we just get from your page, then Alta Sound. And we'll share that on here as well. Any dates you put on there, we'll share on our page successfully, so people can check out, because I think we definitely want a trip over there, don't we? It sounds fantastic.
I would like to do more on the on your side as well, because there's so many yoga studios and places like that I think people would be more than welcome.
You know what? It's funny you say that, Grace, because we dropped off 2 computers today from IP Presents to an hour for others, and I gave them to Kevin, and he showed me the space they've got now in Shoebrook by the roundabout, and there's a big massive space there, and he was saying they were going to do a check, then we said, oh, it's a waste, we're going to do it for this, that, and the other. And he was telling me all the things to do with the space, and they work with young people as well. And I thought that would be quite good,
I'm writing all this down.
Yeah, we'll
speak to you. We'll
definitely have a cuppa, and
we'll have
it'll be fully booked.
All of this. No, it sounds great. Really, really positive. I'm dying to have a go now.
Well, I know Chrissy has done quite a lot of them, and she travels quite a bit, and she's been doing them for a long time. And she goes, "Oh, mate," she says, "you definitely need to go to one." She just, and then I know a few other people who've done them who just say it's just amazing, And I was like, "Oh, I definitely need to go." But every time they sort of like pop up, it's like the next day or that night or something. Whereas you need to book it in, don't you? And say, "Right, okay, we're defo going to this."
That time off, definitely.
I'm going to do more tasters online, so just like even on my Instagram, just like short videos so people get a better sense of what it is, and it's less intimidating thinking, oh God, what am I, some witch is going to take me on some horrible trip.
I don't think anyone thinks this about this.
Well, I did go to a session and she went, but I'm religious, I can't do this. I was like, I'm not going to be casting spells on you.
She'd have been a pain, Grace, don't worry. Right. You don't want that in your class. Right?
Yeah. Right, so it's just gone, it's flown. We've got a quick little, so red face. Any red face for you, San?
I can't remember that. I'm not sharing it, so that's that.
Oh, that red.
Every week, honest to God, I walk around permanent. Some people would never show the face again if they had a week like mine. Honestly,
I think I've been quite well behaved this week.
I need to write them down. Grace, what about you?
I've had a couple of embarrassing things related to my tooth because my face was all swollen and people having like embarrassed, like intense reaction. It still looks swollen now. I felt miserable because I had a big swollen face. I went to get my nails done, and then she went, "Are you okay?" And I went, "Yeah, I've just got a bit of a." And pointed at my face, and she went, "Really dry skin?" I was like, "No." I was like, "No, that's not what I'm saying."
No, but I'm fuming now even.
But now I need to go home and slather myself in lotion. So that was pretty embarrassing.
That's amazing.
Dry skin. No fun.
He's probably trying to sell you something. So shout out to the grown-ups. Any grown-ups who've been amazing. Can I go first, Sam?
Yeah, go on then.
Okay, I'm going to shout out to Oscar, Zhao, Ronan, Dana, and Soph for helping us out on our 2-day event. They were amazing. They rocked up and they were brilliant. It was just really, really cool. It was amazing. But a massive, massive, huge shout out to our very own Sophie Lewis Newton, who has passed her business manager's assessment assignment that she was doing. And it's been 14 months, I think it's been that she's been doing it, hasn't it? A course is about 14 months. And she passed and she said, "Oh yeah, I've just," and so we had a big celebration. So we went for our breakfast this morning because she's back in school on Thursday. So well done, Soph. She's worked super, super hard for it, and I made up for it.
Okay. I've got a shout out to Ben Jones, who's a lovely man who has an air conditioning company over the water, and he helped raise over £4,000 a couple of days ago in Wallasey, actually on the beach, for local charities, flipping a tractor tire 2 miles, and there were a few people who helped them as well. That was brilliant. To people from the Battler, who some were drumming in the cavern, but also loads went down to Notting Hill Carnival, and they haven't been able to go for a few years. And battler groups come from all over the world to do that event, and from the UK, and the largest contingency goes down from Liverpool. So I thought that was great.
It's the first one in 3 years, isn't it? That they've done.
Yeah, so they were all excited about that. So shout out to them too.
Brilliant. Well done, everybody. Grace, any grown-ups that you want to shout out to?
I'll shout out my Auntie Bernie and my Uncle Mike, please, for tuning in today, for introducing me to Sandra a few years ago, and just for everyone who's been really helpful along my journey so far.
Amazing. Oh, he'll be made up.
You will. You're like, I'm on the
telly. Oh, big shout out. Well done, Mike. Well done, Bernie, as well. So positive challenge, Grace, that people can go out and about and do this week.
I would say put on some music, whether there's another person that's present or not, and either sing really loudly to it, or if you can do both, also dance and pretend like you're living your best life, and don't be embarrassed by the bizarre moves that come out of your body.
Dance like no one's watching and sing like no one's listening.
Yeah.
No
one needs to listen when me and Sam sing, do they?
Sang along this morning with the Beach Boys. Emmett would have left. He'd put his headphones in. But this is the big joke, Grace, that we're going to have singing lessons, because neither of us can sing a note and we both love music. So we want to do a karaoke.
We're going to rock a duet, aren't we?
Like that.
Yes, we're going to rock a duet. So Diane Hughes says, "Thank you. What a great show." Jackie McGloughlin says, "Well done, Grace."
Oh, that's my mum. Hi, Mum.
Jackie, your mum, Grace, your mum says, "Well done." Tom, he's up for the challenge and he's singing today. Tom is actually listening in from New Orleans. have a good sing in New Orleans.
Nice.
So well done, Tom. And a massive thank you, Grace, for sharing all your exciting stuff with us and how you've got to where you are. And we wish you all the best for the future. We definitely will be sound bathing with you when we and we'll share everything. Massive thank you, isn't it, to everyone who's listened in. And Grace is going to give us her closing quote, mantra, positive quote that she lives by to finish the show. So massive thank you to you, and massive thank you to Sandra as well. And over to you, Grace.
Thanks so much for having me, guys. My mantra at the moment, just off the challenge, is movement is medicine.
100% movement is medicine. Yeah, definitely. And it's what we all sort of, move that little bit every day, and sing and dance and just have a great time, isn't it? Just rock life and just have a great time. So massive thank you. We will see everybody next week, and we will be sharing Grace's things all over social media because it's ace. And we'll see everybody next week. Thank you. Bye-bye.